This part is probably short to cover. Mission 12 where the change comes between the Omnip route and the usual one like I talked about Mission 11. But first of all, you're going to go through this puzzle, which is pretty easy. Javelina Devil, one of the greatest Doomsday 2 player, has a solution of different variation. But if you're going to talk about my method, this is how you do it. The Javelina Devil method, I'll link it in the video description or the tutorial note. Go to 60 angle degree and pay attention to the timing that I do with the air hike followed by the homebreaker. This because Dante will shift the lock-on from the skull heads into the environment instead, which is the main objective. So you get that about 4 times from 60 angle, then go to 75 angle and break the rest. Again, pay attention to the timing, you will see that again in a normal speed. Last thing but not least, after you break this, remember that you can skip the cutscene. Let's take a look again in the normal speed. Like I said, 4 helm breakers from 60 angle and the rest from 75 angle. Now let's talk about plutonium. This boss is free, however, he can randomly block your cycle, just because he can. Now the $1,000,000 question, how do we cycle him? You need to keep doing 1-2 high time to build up your DT as soon as possible. You also need to be wary of his attacks. Sometimes when you're attacking, Dante can actually go through it, but it's not always guaranteed based on the way you time or the boss timing, all of that, you know what I mean. So once you manage to build up the DT, do a million stab. It's literally the same lesson that you've learned from the gorilla fight, the safe gorilla method. That's exactly how you're doing the fight against it. The only difference for this fight, you're only going to do 1-2 high time instead 1-2-3 high time, just because the armor value of this boss is a lot different than gorilla boss. Let's sum this up. Do 1-2 high time spam until you get enough DT for million stab. From that point, do a million stab and manage your DT very carefully. And know when you can use up all of them at the end with a million stab in order to finish him off with max damage. Now let's look at the advantage of the Devilstar. You'll get the slight double trigger advantage here instead of rolling through it. So you're going to jump in the fight, do a 2 round trip. After the second round trip, you do million stab. You have to pay attention on how Pluto was about to attack you. So when you're about to do million stab, you have to be really fast on landing it, otherwise your cycle is gonna screw off a bit. Once you get a million stab successfully, you're going to land another million stab, but the first 2 hits that I did there, it has to be in DT. So 1-2 has to be in DT, then you do a million stab. After that, you slap 2 round trip and you end the fight. Did you see how fast this was compared to the other one? Now let's compare the fight and see how much faster it is. It's visually clear how fast it is. However, the main difference with the regular million stab strat is that you get a lot of orbs by the end of the fight. It may be a lot faster, but really you don't have to worry about this when you start running the game. So yeah, pretty short coverage for mission 12. Now we're going to come across mission 13. And mission 13 is immediate boss fight Arius. It's very easy to explain there. But once you reach into that point, your next shopping stop is 1 Devilstar, small, and 2 large Devilstar for the future mission. Back then, we just prayed for Aureus spamming Stinger, hoped that he doesn't put up his meme shield and all of that. And you know, that is bad. RNG is bad. We're just praying at that point. Fortunately, though, I found 100% consistent method of defeating Aureus 1 without relying any sort of luck. Now let's take a look. Immediately after the cutscene, roll and menu at the same time for the small Devilstar. After you've done that correctly, immediately transform into double trigger. Stay on double trigger, by the way. Do 1, 2, 3, forward 4, stinker, twice. And then on the third head, you're going to do high time instead of stinker. After that, we do 1 high time, 1, 2, stinker. Doing this cycle, by the way, makes this fight 100% consistent and also 1 second faster than getting a perfect stinger. Now let's watch it again in normal speed. As long as you make a good start, then you got the fight down. Otherwise, you gotta practice on this fight a lot more. The next 3 missions needs to have their own separate part because they are pretty long missions in general. So mission 14, 15, and 16 will be covered in a separate parts.